Welcome to Labor's View. This show is brought to you by the very hardworking and dedicated employees of the Essex County Division of Welfare in the state of New Jersey, mostly the wonderful city of Newark, but also in East Orange we have an office. And these are the employees that are the non-managerial, non-supervisory employees, and they're members of CWA, Communications Workers of America, Local 1081. I'm David Weiner, President of the union and host of Labor's View. This evening we're going to try something we've tried in the past, and that is we're going to film parts of our executive board, our monthly executive board meeting. And most executive boards and unions consist only of the officers, the president, vice president, treasurer, stuff like that. Maybe 10 people tops, which is what ours is. But schmuck that I am, some 30-something years ago when I became president, I said, let's include everybody, including the shop stewards. So our executive board is nearly 40 people, which in a room that's not made for 40 people and with people that are very opinionated at times and loud as well, it can become very interesting, but it's very interesting. So watch the show, enjoy, and I'll see you on the other end. And first let's have the new shop stewards whom I have appointed, subject to your approval, and subject to the approval of the membership. I'm watching that one at the end there. To rise and introduce themselves. First, a young man who I hate because he's young, but okay. Introduce yourself.
Jose Sanchez, I'm in the 4th floor, KB1.
Title?
18 records.
Who else is here?
Right.
All right, why don't you rise?
I'm Sparkle Myrie. I'm a family service worker. I work at 18 Record Street, 4th floor.
She speaks very clear. Her name is Sparkle. Sparkle Myrie. And she works in the brand new, the Riverview office, where you can't see the river. And thirdly,
Hi, I'm Donna Cisco. I'm in the Child Support Unit. I'm a family service worker, and I'm on the 6th floor.
okay, I am going to put into nomination these three individuals as shop stewards, as is approved by the and called for by the bylaws, until, phones off please, until the next elections, which are the end of next year, in which case officers and shop stewards will all be up, and actually in the other order, shop stewards then officers, right? We do the shop stewards first. Just in case you lose, you can run for officer. So, I'll make the motion.
Other way. And then the shop stewards.
Yeah, officers first.
I'm old. All right, so I moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on the motion to approve, subject to the approval of the membership? Right? Okay, right, Madam Person at the end of it? Right. Okay, all right, I'm good. All four indicate by saying aye, please. Aye. Against by a like sign, abstention, so moved. Welcome, very halfway. You're halfway there. Okay, is our guest here? Okay.
Yeah.
Just sit down. So, we just had a meeting with, I say we, it was Carol Perkins, president of the Supervisors Union, myself, had a meeting with director, well, now former director Aníbal Ramos, and Yvonne Davis. And it was on June, I think it was on the 10th. Maybe I changed it, was later. But anyway, it was sometime a week ago. And we discussed a number of things. First of all, Aníbal just said he stepped down temporarily because he's running for mayor, and he appointed a young lady named Lucia Guardini, and it was a very nice lady. I know her from the hospital center from a long time ago, so I don't think we're going to have any problems with her at all.
Is she in Aníbal's office, or is she upstairs?
She's on the 9th floor. I don't know where they put her, but she's on the 9th floor.
She's the director of the hospital.
So thank you for sharing. No, she's going to be on the 9th floor.
So then is she going to respond to unagreeable system?
I don't know what she's going to do. I'm not worried about it. Anyway, one of the things we discussed was, I didn't even know this until someone hit me to it, but in the conference room that's next to Director Davis's office, on one side Director Ramos, so now Director Guarini's office, on the other side, there's a huge television, and that television feeds in, like I'm told, 10 little screens where our cameras that are placed strategically in the agency. so that our directors are able to watch what people are doing, like over I know the cameras over where Hamesh is, over that way, because he told me that he knows there's cameras over there. They can watch the lobby. That's how they know when people are on their phones or whatever they're doing. It reminds me, and goes well before most of your time, except for our brother John here probably, and Jerry, our producer. But there was a show on years ago, a comedy husband-wife team, George Burns and Gracie Allen, and their TV show was about. He was a voyeur, and he had, this is like 1950, middle 50s, early 50s, but he had the ability to have cameras throughout his house, and he could watch what people were saying, and they didn't know that he knew what they were really saying about him. Remember that?
Gracie Allen.
Yeah.
And
Gracie
George,
Allen.
yeah.
So that's what's, and so I was assured that we're not being watched constantly, but they have every right to have cameras for a number of reasons, security issues, but. And now the aside there is why we can't make phone calls from the lobby. I understand. Does anybody understand that?
No.
What?
Apparently there was an altercation with Smiley which caused that to happen. Smiley asked somebody was on their phone sitting on the stage, and Smiley asked the person to the phone, on the lobby of 18 Rector, there's a stage
There's a
right
stage
there.
in the back.
So he told him to get off. It was during break time. He told him to get off the phone. The person get off the stage and get off the phone, and the person didn't do it. So it was kind of like he power tripped and said, "Fine, I'll handle that." And he went and told Iran, and then within that day or two, we got a memo saying you can't use
Yeah,
your
we're going to work on the cell phone thing. Smiley was right to tell the person to get off the stage because it's not part of the thing. But I don't know why you can't be on the phone in the lobby because technically, especially you shouldn't be on the phone in the agency when you're working. So if you're going to be on the phone, you should be able to be either in the hallways, or sometimes you don't get great reception.
From the moment you walk in the door, you cannot.
Yeah, well, we'll see, but we'll deal with that. Also, we brought up the disastrously dysfunctional food stamp case banking. This is where they deny it's case banking, but it really is case banking. This is the round robin that's going on in the food stamp office, which they plan to do when they do case banking, starting with intake. And that is when a client comes in, instead of seeing their specific worker, or if they're not there or busy seeing somebody from their unit, they see anybody at all. And what happened was people were seeing other workers and didn't know who the worker was, didn't write down their name, didn't get a receipt that they were seeing, so the work didn't get done and fell off the system, that people were back, and that's why we had the crowds, and that's why they've had to close the offices at 10 in the morning, or at least they did. Do they have to do it again today? Every day, okay? Now, part of the problem with them closing the office at 10 o'clock in the morning is in the I call it the old food stamps now, the food stamp office in 50 South Clinton Street, is because they had a sewer backup of raw sewage that came up, and that's exactly where the files are located. And so we insisted, when Candy called me, we insisted all our clerks get the hell out of that basement, because one was actually still working down there. And then they're also now sending clients to sit in all those chairs because of the smell and disgust. And so therefore, that's going to back up the number of people that are in the building because you don't have a place to put them. So that's why they're closing the offices. They're closing the office early. I pointed out to management that's not affecting just food stamp clients. But if you look at the photographs I put out there, those people obviously were not just food stamp or GA clients and from Newark or Irvington, because one of them had a baby carriage. So she must have been there for other reasons, I'm imagining. So what we did is we filed a complaint with POSH, which is the Public Employees Occupational Safety and Hazard group with the state. I filed a health complaint. They responded, I have it here somewhere, and they'll soon be coming in, and we'll soon be doing a tour. And when I come in, I'll grab the stewards who's ever available, and we'll go down and we'll check out the basement and look at the condition. Anibal recognized how bad it is, and he smelled it. And even though they made some cursory attempts to clean it up, they didn't do that good a job. And sewage, as I pointed out in my grievance, can be extremely dangerous when inhaled or if touched and brought home.
But that's what's on the floor now. Got
That's right.
brown on it.
Yes, and that brown is you know what. Yeah. So we'll let you know what happens with the PO's report. Hi, how you doing?
Good.
We would be right with you. Okay. All right. Overcrowded offices and compromised safety. Because the reason they're closing the offices at 10 o'clock there, and I'm told, are they still closing the fourth floor early?
Yeah.
Okay. It's because we don't have enough employees to do the job. We're supposed to have a minimum of 821 total employees, Charlene, in the agency, and we only have 790, 400 and something FSWs, and we have too much work to do because of the explosion of Medicaid and food stamps, especially food stamps, but even Medicaid. And Medicaid's a whole nother issue because we had 72,000 overdue Medicaid redeterminations. And we're down to, I think, 40-something thousand now. But at the same time, we also were fined $300,000 by the feds. So at the same time, we have to do 20-something thousand new cases by the end of June, or we're going to be fined again. And the feds are coming in to audit the food stamps because they're not getting done. And Essex County ranks at the absolute bottom of every single measure of work in social services of all the county welfare agencies in the state. So, any comments so far? Yes. Yes.
Well, I want to talk to you later on about it, but what happened was,
Talk up.
okay, I was asked to map, to do the Medicaid that you're talking about, the cases. Me, remember Tawana Christopher?
Yes.
Her and
yes, I
I.
do.
So we were asked to do, I think, about maybe 800 to 900, just us two, but no overtime. Every other office has overtime. And I understand that Aaron put in for it, but it was denied. And so now, with our work included, our daily work, we still have to map. We're the only one that know how to do the mapping. Key and Medicaid, basically. We're the only ones authorized to key in Medicaid on the Office of Intake Services.
Now hold on. When you say mapping, are you talking about the old ones, or are you talking about going forward with the new ones?
The new ones,
The new ones.
Right.
And your title is?
Senior clerk typist.
So that's really family service worker work.
Right. The FSW is going to map it well, fill out the maps and give them to us. The data entry. To data entry.
Okay.
Right. But like I said, you know, the overtime was given to the Medicaid office. I presume.
10th floor. No, 5th floor don't have no overtime.
Medicaid.
Oh, one at a time, one at a time.
OMS. It was given to, you know.
All right, I got it. I'll work on that tomorrow.
Okay.
It was you and who else?
Christopher.
Tawana.
Yes.
Yes.
The way our structure was on our floor, got going into a meeting with administration yesterday. The way it was explained to us was every floor has to do the project, but only the 10th floor and the 9th floor, and they said the 5th floor. We don't know for sure, but they said the 5th floor, they all got overtime. Or a cop day. One of the two. Now what they're doing on our floor is they're picking people from each unit, pulling them off their regular list, regular caseload.
5th, 10th, and what?
And 9th were the only people that got overtime or comp day.
The only people that have it is the 10th floor. It's the only people that's getting the overtime.
And DCU on the 9th floor.
I'll work it out. Go ahead.
So they're pulling the people off of their regular caseload. So now the rest of the unit has to pick up their work.
Understood.
And then with the thing with the issue with the data entry thing with the clerks and that was that a lot of workers don't know how to use UAP Medicaid. So now that's doubling up the work on the clerks because now although they have to write out the map, now the clerk has to actually process it with her stuff. So that's adding on to her problem. So now we don't have a clerk. Like our unit doesn't have a clerk at all because she's on the project. And it's just a mess with this project.
Well, it's not the only mess. The fact is, you got the food stamp office. The old one has no head of it. Okay, we got 3 AFONs, but you have no FOMs, field office manager, and the 4th floor has no manager, with Director Davis running the 4th floor. So how you run these major, big offices that are so bad they're being closed every day with no head of the office makes absolutely no
They're taking
sense.
people out of each unit to do the same thing. And we already short-staffed because they took half of the people from our office and sent them to 18 Registry. Plus, we cleaned up a lot of their backlog work that they never processed. Plus, in the meantime, still seeing people. It's not right.
And they said all
It's not right.
the farms did request. The farm from our floor has requested overtime 3 times. And has been denied with no explanation on why.
The why is money. That's why, because the division welfare budgets so much money every year, and they had to spend a lot of that money on outfitting the 4th floor, which, as you know, they didn't include in terms of delivering a copy machine or a fax machine, let alone a refrigerator and a what do you call it, a microwave, which I heard they got the microwave, and our bulletin boards, which are not the most major thing, but certainly you need a copy machine and a fax machine, which made people go to other floors, delaying the time that they could service people because they got to travel, and ticking off the people on the other floors who are overwhelmed themselves and need to get to the copy machine for themselves.
When you're telling the rest of the agency basically that the 10th floor has overtime indefinitely, no limit, and everybody else can't get it, that bothers everyone.
It's also a violation of the contract. I'm going to do a grievance on it. That's not the way the overtime reads. Yes?
Can I ask, does anyone else have a Medicaid quota on the other floors? Like a certain amount you have to do per day?
We get a list of, some people got a list of 50 names. Some people, everybody gets a list.
Okay.
Everybody gets a list of names. And so by the time you're done, there is a number, a set quota that we have to reach by the end of the week.
Oh, it's weekly?
Yeah, but we got to give them your numbers every day.
Okay, right. We are required to do for a day.
No, it's not for
There's
us.
no list, it's just for redebts a day. Well, redebts or terminations.
Yeah, those are the same that we're doing, but those are the same that we're doing.
Those are on the old ones.
Yeah.
Right. Well, really anyone.
On the
who's
overdues.
active, anyone that walks in, really.
Okay. Also, we, as I said, the federal audits are coming in, orders are coming in to do food stamps soon. And we are in the bottom of getting cases done in a timely fashion. Why? Because we don't have enough people to do the job. That's why. Mandatory, I'm running through this because we got a lot to do. So if everyone would listen and not talk to each other at the end of the table would be great. So we have mandatory wearing IDs, especially entering the lobby. Smiley told me about that a week beforehand. I totally agree with it. We should absolutely have people wearing their IDs when they come in. Unfortunately, Smiley does get a little carried away with himself. Like we had a case where somebody, I don't know how she left the ID in her office, and then she asked somebody else who's sitting over there to go get it for her, and he wouldn't let her take the ID from somebody who gave it to her. He says it's power. I don't know if it's I don't know what the thing is.
He said, yeah, he made the thing is you got to go to the registry. And he stands at the door when you walk in now.
Well, we're going to deal. Listen, I appreciate what Smiley does. I'm glad we have security. You know, he's got a gun and he's big.
No, we have a harass.
Yes. And the bad part about it is he only harassed the women. He don't never mess with them men that work in that building. He always harassed. I stood out on that sidewalk this morning waiting for somebody. And I seen a whole lot of men go in that building and Smiley ain't open his mouth. And soon as a group of women went in there, where's your IDs, ladies? That's harassment.
Now, inoperable telephones in child support. Are they still not working? Anybody here from the hall? Yeah.
Some whooping.
Are the phones working?
Yeah, they're almost there.
They're almost there. Because for weeks they had no phones except for 3 people.
I wish I didn't have no phone.
Yeah, well. The problem is clients have to be able to call into child support and vice versa, so it's a serious issue, which we have a grievance on.
I thought the lines were crossed.
The whole thing's crossed. The county's working on it. They're not they brought in somebody. Flyers for clients. What we did was, and this is not just our local, the CWA Welfare Council, which is 16 of 21 county welfare agencies are represented by CWA locals. We meet once a month now. So we came up with we agreed to a flyer which we personalized. And the flyer basically says to the clients, we're sorry you have to wait so long, but we're understaffed. Please call these people if you want to get something done. And we put down the county executive, his title and his phone number, and we put down the field board president and her title and her phone number. Well, they got a lot of phone calls. And we hadn't even given them out at 18 Rector, really. This was just at 50 South Clinton Street. And they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And I copped to it. I told Anibal that we did the flyer. We still got the flyers, and we're going to amend them to include more people with telephone numbers because we just can't stand being understaffed this way. It's just unacceptable. Yeah. Here's one I want to go through, which is a good victory. That's a couple of good victories. One is we had a disciplinary case with a family service worker where it was she was suspended for 20 days for not doing her job, amongst other things. And I appealed it to civil service, and civil service, this is part of the lesson later for you new folk, but civil service sends it where? OAL, Office of Administrative Law. Right. So we went and we did the hearing, and lo and behold, we won the hearing. Wow. So she's going to get her 20 days back. Wait, that's not the end of the story. They, on top of that, while this was going on, they went after her again, and they wanted to terminate her, not kill her, but remove her from her employ. Well, once we won the 20-day, I said to them, how are you going to go for removal when you don't have a 20-day to base so they withdrew the removal, so she's got nothing. So that was a nice success story. Now, the other one is Transamerica. Connor Strong Bookaloo. Make sure you get this, Jerry. This is George Norcross. He owns the company. He's the Steve Adubato of South Jersey. Senior, not junior, with his old TV shows. But he has this Connor Strong Bookaloo company that is a broker. They broker the health benefits for Aetna, for all the county employees. And they brought in Winston Financial Services to do what I don't understand, except that they're supposed to deal with voluntary benefits, like AFLAC, like a life insurance policy, like a cancer insurance policy. Okay, so we did some research on Winston. What did we find out? That the president and CEO of Winston Financial Services, a guy named Bradley, about 3 years ago or so, gave $177,000 to a Queens assemblyman in order to keep a hospital. And this is all on, I'm not making this stuff up, this is all in the report. It's called the sentencing report because the assemblyman he gave it to, who was 70-something years old, got convicted, went to jail, and died a year later. So I brought this up and didn't make the kind of strong guy too happy. And so then they brought in this company, another one called Transamerica. And Transamerica, I don't know what they're supposed to do. So instead of having, like with AFLAC, now you got those two guys, George and his buddy, right? They're the ones administering AFLAC. So who they want to get rid of. And they want to bring in this AFLAC through this other arrangement. And I'm going, wait a minute. You have 3 mouths to feed now instead of just the one company. Now you got Connor Strong, Winston Financial, Transamerica. I was wrong. There was a fourth one. A guy named Collins, who Connor Strong uses, who's from Newark. And to me, with all due respect, he appears to be what they say in the old days, the face by the door. It was a book in the 1970s. He appears to be the person of color for the company to have some legitimacy. All right? And I'm sure he works very hard, but I've never seen the man. And so there's 4 mouths to feed. So we went to the field. We got the fielders to hold up on the vote back on the 22nd, I think it was, of May, and on the contract, and take it to their special committee. The committee met about a week ago, and the IBW was there right behind me, literally right in the row behind me. And they're the ones who actually told me about it. They told me the day of the vote that we got delayed, they told me this was going down. So I wrote up my piece, I sent it out to you guys, sent it to the fielders. It would have gone to the fielders, but the administration is blocking all my emails. So I got to change my name again on the email. But I already changed it once, but I got to change it again. I'm going to make something else up, some silly name. But anyway, so we go there that night, and of course the IBW wants me to be the one to go up and talk, so I went up and talked. And before I did, the guy from Connor Strong goes, I just want to say that I'm very upset that my company has been disparaged. Of course, he's talking about me. And these things are said they're not true. And I want to say that it's wrong for the way the setup is now, because with Aflac, you don't have to use up your sick days. This is important, Jerry. You can be Aflac, you don't have to use up your sick days, as you know. Now, I don't have it, so this is not from personal interest, although I should have it the way I feel, but I don't have it. So you don't have to use up your sick days. She goes, well, that means you're getting 160% of your salary, and that's something that would encourage people not to come back to work. So now he's insulting everybody. And then Ralphie Chiazella, Ralph, who's the county administrator, who was sick, chimes in with the same thing crap he said the week before. He goes, oh, and we can't have all these vendors running over the offices and coming in whenever they feel like it. And we want to bring them before the freeholders and get voted on, just like you do on the 401k companies. They get voted on, you know, the banking things, MetLife and the other ones. So when I get up there and I go, first of all, I said to Mr. DeBella, the guy who made this, I said, if you can, so I'm insulted by what you're saying about our members and the 160% staying home. Name one person that is collecting Aflac and didn't come back and is milking it. Name one person. After I'm done, come up and name one person. And I said, in addition to that, name one thing I've said or written, because everything I said I put in writing, that I've written about Connor Strong booklet that's not true. And I said, was it not true that Winston Financial Services paid the assemblyman who died in jail? Was that not true? So everybody starts to cringe. Everybody in the room was cringing. So it goes on and on and on like this. And I said, yeah, I do have a problem with Mr. Norcross. Yes, and this is on tape, by the way. It's not video, but on audio. I'll get it. I said, I have a problem because Mr. Norcross, with his political wards, like Batman had a ward, he has a ward, which is Steve Sweeney, the president of the New Jersey Senate. He got together with Joe D. I'm pointing at Ralphie, poor Ralphie, with Joe D.'s political wards, including Sheila Oliver and Teresa Ruiz and everybody else, almost everybody else, not everybody. I think Coutinho was cool with us, and I think Ralph Caputo was cool with us, and maybe a couple others. But they all got together and voted for that health benefit legislation that is now going to cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars. So I got a problem with that, especially now you're trying to come in and sell insurance products to the same people that you're now making pay up to 10% of their salary for something before they were paying 1.5%. Yeah, I got a problem with that. So everything, bottom line is they withdrew the disability program. They say, well, okay, we withdraw it, okay? I also had some words with Mr. DeBella, which I'll talk to you off camera about, when the thing was over, because he got a little snippy, and we worked that out. Those are that's the good news. That, you know, we're winning cases, and we're fighting as usual, and we beat back one of the most powerful political guys in the state, because he's not going to get his Aflac where he makes you use your sick days. Okay, so that's the good news.
I have a voice, one that can speak for me. I have a say in my own destiny. Here on the job, no, it is not hard to